It's time now for Carter's Corner. Everything Bay Area sports on the Northern California Sports and Entertainment Network. Here is your host, Carter Kim.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Carter's Corner. I am here on Northern Lights Sports and Entertainment Production. I am Carter, here for all things. And as a wise man once said, winter is coming. And Wakatna, good to see you. Good to see everybody here. I'm currently doing my Snowpiercer impression, and I was stuck working on a research paper, and then I was told I had now a couple hours off. So I did that. I worked a little bit while Eric and Glenn were doing the show. But I'm here with you now to talk about everything Bay Area sports. And we'll start with Mike Yastrzemski getting extended. If this is the plan for right field next year, I'm going to lose my mind. I swear to everything I know. Man, I can't do this. That's all I can say. I can't do this. If we have another year of this, I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep watching baseball because I want us to go out and swing big. I'm not sure if this tells us anything, but to me, this signals to me that we're not going to be very serious about going to get Juan Soto. So that's too bad, but yeah, that's slightly infuriating, but what are you going to do, you know? What are you going to do? But right now, the Golden State Warriors are actually playing the Pelicans right now, which is going to be interesting. I'm hoping that we can do well there. I actually might just put that on. Why not? I'll just put this on in the background while we talk. But it's been a heck of a day for me. It's cold as hell here in Santa Cruz. If you can hear, I think you guys could probably hear it if I stay silent. There's rain, like it's pouring outside. And yeah, everyone's taking shelter. I got coffee. I'm growing into that college life. But it's been very, very interesting to say the least. But yeah, let me just make sure this is on. Santa Cruz campus is very nice, Morcatna. It's just right now it's very, very gray and dark. And as a wise man once said, winter is coming. But yeah, here we go. Man, Mike Yastrzemski getting re-signed. Honestly, I don't even know what to say if I'm being honest. Like, okay, sure, it's good to have Mike back for a year, but I don't want to just have Mike Yastrzemski. I wanted a good bat in right field. That means also we're probably not going to pursue Anthony Santander either. If we're not pursuing Santander, what are we doing? If we're not pursuing a good free agent that can give us that extra bat in the lineup, what are we doing? Santander, Adames. Are we putting all our eggs in a basket when it comes to Willy Adames? Is that the plan? Okay, listen, I will say this. I'd rather get let down without knowing anything than promises being made and then being let down. But if I'm being honest, I would like a little bit of transparency, please. What's going on? I get it. Yaz is a veteran of the team, and we want to show a little loyalty to the guys, but it's like, Yastrzemski, really? We need another guy. We need a guy who can knock runs in for us, and we don't have that. Yes, Yaz is a good player, and but he's not a player that you would ask to win you a game or to trust you. I mean, he has won us a couple games, which I will give him credit for. But it's like, we need this more than anything. We needed another guy that we could trust in. But yeah, that's just another one of those, man. But yeah, I'm currently in my little I'm hiding in my dorm right now, just trying to get this done. But this might be a short show, like 30 minutes, because I've got to take care of whatchamacallit. I have a lot of research to do and a lot of work to do because I have a paper due Monday. But I'm here to talk to you guys about pretty much anything. If anyone has anything to bring up, I'm here. But right now we get back to the Smoothie King Center in New Orleans. Man, what a dumbass name. I'm sorry. Smoothie King, is that the only company that was willing to sponsor you? Really? Well, yeah, that's a bad name for the Chase Center. I mean, look at us. Our name rolls right off the tongue. Well, here we go. The Warriors have been playing great basketball as of late. There's been incredible. They've been doing very well. If I'm not mistaken, we're at 11-3 right now. We've been playing great. But here we go. Coming up the court, Hield passes over to Podziemski in the left side. They get set up in the post split. Cut back door. Podziemski goes to the basket. He drops it off to Kuminga, and it's a bucket, 36-30. But yeah, Smoothie King Center, though. Really? Smoothie King Center? That's one of the dumbest names I've ever heard. I'm sorry. Moody, guarding, getting up on the guard in the backcourt. Staying with him. Watch the screen to the corner. Contested. The rebound is not there yet. But the Warriors recover, and it's back on there, and they get it back after a turnover by the Pelicans. I needed it, all right? Hey, here we go. Kuminga steps up. Pass to Podziemski on the left side of the court. Post split. Set up for Kyle Anderson. Anderson passes off to Hield, who is double teamed. Pass in the corner to Podziemski. Podziemski trying to facilitate on the left side. Podziemski passes it to Hield. Hield on the fade shot. It goes out, but Kyle Anderson gets it back and lays it back up and in, drawing the foul and one for Kyle Anderson. Slow-mo, continuing to do what he does. I mean, hell of a player, Kyle Anderson. Good player. Not special, but certainly a guy that you would need on your team, or a guy you would like to have on your team in order to win a championship. But we are currently in the midst of the NBA Cup as well, which is sort of like the NBA's version of the President's Trophy, or the NBA's version of, like, the FA Cup over in the English Premier League. It's an interesting concept that the NBA is testing out, and I actually kind of appreciate it. Mid-season trophy, trying to see if a team can continue their success into the postseason. But we'll have to see. It's good to see him playing well. I'm not going to be celebrating it like if we won it, I'm not going to celebrate it like it's an NBA championship, but I'm certainly going to give it credit. But yeah, here we go. Anderson at the line, 38-30. Anderson shoots the free throw, and it rims out, and it's recovered by the New Orleans Pelicans. Coming up the court, guarded by Moody. Moody they try to screen him, and he falls down, and that's a travel, surely. Goes back up, high at the top, and they shoot a three. It's in 33-38. Just not a great bit of coverage defensively. Anderson, dribble handoff, pass, and it's a turnover. That's just a bad pass. Moody down the other end, and it's good defense. But they call a foul. That is terrible. That is not a foul whatsoever. Are you kidding me? He went straight up. What? That's not a foul just because the guy dives. Are you serious? That's a good contest. My goodness. Okay, here we go. But yeah, if anyone has anything to talk about here, I'm just watching the game. We're having it on in the background. If y'all want to talk about anything, I'm definitely here to talk about it. We obviously had the awards recently given out. Shohei and Judge both won unanimous honors for the MVPs. Derek Skubal and Chris Sale win their Cy Youngs, respectively. Stephen Vogt and Mr. Pat Murphy win Managers of the Year in the AL and the NL. Luis Heel and Paul Skeens. I was very surprised with Luis Heel winning, but here we go. Kuminga gets the dribble handoff at the top of the key. Kuminga takes it by himself, shoots a three, and it's rimmed out. And the New Orleans Pelicans get the rebound. Pelicans moving up the court, picked up by Hield. Podziemski picks up the guard. Kyle Anderson trying to get over the screen. Hield gets screened himself. They try and do a pick and fade. Skubal and Sale had near identical stats. Wow, yeah, they were absolutely fantastic. Sorry, I just got a text. But yeah, here we go. Okay. They just miss a shot, and they're trying to contest, and that's just, yeah, you got to take a timeout there, surely, right? Yep, there we go. That's just bad defense in a lot of ways. We didn't score a single bucket. But yeah, Derek Skubal and Sale had both incredible seasons. I mean, let's just go take a look at these guys for a second. Saki. Sorry. Here we go. Let me just get what's his name? Okay. Scooble and Sale. Yeah. Let's just take a look at their stats. Yeah. I'm glad I got to witness two dynasties while growing up. Warriors and Giants. 49ers always disappoint. I think that the Steph got one more ring in him. I agree. I think if we can put it all together one more nice time, I think we can be in really good shape for the future. The team has been great this year. The post splits are working. The rotation's been doing wonders. Steph's been great. The entire team's been playing well. I think that we can try and do it one more time. I'm not sure if we can do it this year, but I think it's possible with how well we've been playing. But it's been great to see how they've been playing. And honestly, I'm so lucky I got to see this level of dominance. Sorry, I'm just getting texts. But yeah, if I'm being obviously this is a very difficult time for the team. Steph's getting older. A lot of the really important players on this team are obviously getting a little older, and that's tough. But if I'm being honest, we could definitely try and take a shot at this one more time. We've been playing the best in the Western Conference so far. At least I think so. I'm looking at the standings. We're at the top above the Thunder, the Rockets, the Lakers, and the Nuggets. To be fair, a couple of those teams have had a slow start. But, yeah, it's been absolutely great. Okay, honestly, I need to take this off because, oh, God. Look like a – that better? All right, cool. But, yeah, it's been absolutely great watching them play this year, and they've been great. I honestly think that that this team can really be good. It's just got to be about, keeping up what we've been doing right now, which is just winning games and most of all defense. What killed us last year was our lack of ability on defense, and it was brutal. We didn't have a lot of high IQ that won us championships previously. We made a lot of mistakes. This year, a lot of those mistakes that I saw last year have been ironed out, and now that I've gotten to watch, I think they could really be great. It's just about trying to do better than what we have been. But it'll be interesting to see. I think they will do. I think Steph will do what he always does. I think Draymond will always be the calming presence. I think if this team continues to run offense the way I've always seen it, and if post splits keep working, I think we can win. We can totally win. It's just got to be about sustaining this level of attrition for the rest of the season. And we'll see about that. But I think with the start that we have, I think we can be great. But anyway, here we go. Steph still on the bench, waiting for the opportunity. And here we go, 38-36. 9 minutes left in the quarter, 9 minutes and 30 seconds to be specific. We have not played great since our start. We've missed all our three-pointers. Great kick to Buddy Hield, and he misses it. But Anderson keeps fighting for the rebound, and we keep possession on this end of the floor. But yeah. If Draymond wasn't suspended 25 games last year, Warriors are much higher seed. No, I agree totally. Draymond, he is the thing that keeps this Warriors offense clicking and the defense in complete shape. He was 4th in Defensive Player of the Year award last year. How can you say he's not a good defensive player? Kuminga has a steal, and it's tipped out of bounds, and they get it back. Yeah, but we got to stop turning the ball over right now. All right, coming up the court, Moody sets up in guard formation. He comes up, they try and defend, and Moody makes a great play, and he gets the ball to go the other way. Great defensive play by Moses Moody. Geez, dude, this guy is incredible. Great defense, strips the ball away, and it gets tipped off the other guy. Kuminga goes to the rack, and they miss again. Just not a lot of good shots occurring right now. Yeah. But yeah, looking at how we've been playing this year, we've been great. But then we got free throws, of course. Just lack of hitting shots right now. We're not making a lot of good decisions. We got to get the ball in the post like we did with Kyle a second ago. They're about to tie up the game. Just not great basketball. All right, here we go. Free throw at the line, and he takes it, and it's good. It's now 38-38. Jesus. All right. Jonathan Kuminga coming up the floor with the ball. Passes to Wiggins. Wiggins passes to Podziemski. Podziemski gets it in the post for Kyle Anderson. Post split happening. Kuminga just does not get the ball there because it was a terrible pass. 49ers pissed me off so much, like you can't even get one chip. No, it's definitely disappointing how they played the last few years. They should have won so much more. They're a great team of players. It's just they haven't achieved what we've all expected of them. A lot of it's been due to a couple other things, like Brock getting hurt in the NFC Championship game's a big one. But a lot of it has been due to unforced errors, just our own mistakes. So we got to do better. And honestly, this is going to be a year that we look back on and say this is a lost opportunity for us. That's just my opinion, but we should have been able to do so much better this year. Just injuries. We were never able to stay healthy this year. Obviously, that's not, you can't use that as the only excuse, but we haven't played good enough even when we haven't been injured. But yeah, here we go. 38-40. Moody in a jump ball formation. Switching around. Sorry. And it's up, and it's back in Brandon Ingram's hands. And we are trying to control the game, but it's really bad right now. Moody guarding Brandon Ingram. Moody on Brandon Ingram. He clamps him up right there. Wiggs, great shot protection, and somehow it goes in 38-43. We have not scored a single bucket in the past few minutes. Pass. Draymond trying to make something work, and he does, thank God. 3-point shot from Draymond, and it's 41-43 right now in New Orleans. Wiggs trying to get up on the guard. Draymond brings it in further. Great defense from Steph, and it's laid up and in. Jesus. All right, here we go. Someone's down the field right now. Sorry. Or is on the court. What am I doing? What was a good pass from 11 to Robinson Earl. Here we go. Sideline out of bounds play. We got an SOP. Wiggins on the sideline. Javonte Green, checked out with 3 personal fouls. Pass in. Wiggins is hit on the back of the head. Somehow that's not a foul. Man, we just can't get a bucket right now. We can't buy one damn thing. Wiggins on the baseline out of bounds play. Draymond in a set piece. Screens off. Wiggins manages to finally get a bucket. 43-45. Warriors down by 2 to the New Orleans Pelicans. Oh, God, I really got to do better commentary. Steps up. Ingram on the side. And he's out of bounds. That's out of bounds. Hello? And it's met at the rim by Anderson. Green closes out. It's not a foul. Other way. No, it's the other way. It's the other way. Hello? Great defense on the other end of the floor. All right, here we go. Baseline out of bounds. Boston gets the ball. Not Boston. Apparently that's this guy's name. His name is Boston. If the Warriors can get one more big set scoring option, they could be viewed as a top 3 favorites for the championship. I think so too. I mean, you got to think who would be our guy, because we need to target someone at the deadline, in my opinion. I mean, I've thought about this a lot. The Bucks look like absolute horror show right now. I'm just saying. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but they have been horrific. It's possible that we could go talk to them, but I don't think I think they're just too in love with Giannis to give him up. But I do think that we could definitely take a swing at some big 8 guy at this deadline. But yeah, you can't rely on Steph scoring for you. You do need that second option. Steph can only do so much for you when you're playing basketball. He can do a lot for you, but you need to help him a lot. Steph closes out the top of the key. And that's a travel. Why are you calling a foul, Rev? It's not a foul. That's not a foul at all. Are you kidding me? That is not a foul. Giannis doesn't fit the Warriors scheme. Well, it's funny because a lot of people think Draymond, he's not a great passer, Giannis, but he's actually like, if I'm not mistaken, he's the franchise lead for Milwaukee in assists. I'm not saying, hold on, let me just check just to make sure because I'm not sure. Yeah, he is currently the franchise leader in assists, Giannis Antetokounmpo. I'd like to see him what he could do. If we could put him in the post like we do with Draymond, have him attack sometimes, but also have him pass out and operate the split action, then we could, like the post splits, we could really do something. Draymond trying to create space. Would I go for Jimmy? I don't think he's been playing great this season. He would be a guy I would be inclined to talk about, but again, I'm not sure if he could. He is older. That's the problem. And I wonder how good he's been playing. Let me just check him. And also Miami, it does seem inclined to be hunting. I'm not saying that they are going to do anything, but let me just check it on Jimmy. He's 35, 17 points per game. He's hitting 50% from the field, but he's just much older. That's the problem. I would be inclined, though, but it couldn't be for a lot. I'm not trading you first-round picks for Jimmy. Even though he's a great player, he's way too old for me to be like, yeah, let's go get him for firsts. Yeah. As a Kings fan, I love seeing my Warriors fans thinking they could market for Giannis. No star wants to play a team where Draymond, Steph past their prime. Go Kings. That is how I know that there's just a lack of understanding when it comes to the Warriors and how we operate things. It's not about who's past their prime. Who's past their prime? Steph and Draymond, right? Steph and Draymond are past their prime. See, here's the thing that no one seems to understand because if you actually watch Golden State basketball, the guys who actually run this team are all 5 players on the court. Because Steph and Draymond could not do what they do without the other 3 guys. You need a guy to be able to run post splits with, and then you need another 2 guys in order to be on weak side. That's just such a lack of understanding, in my opinion, how you understand basketball. Watch a Warriors game and tell me that it's all about one of those 2 guys. Tell me it's just about one of those 2 guys. Seriously, I would love to see that be the case. Because Steph, he's not a guy who needs the ball to be winning the game. He needs guys to be able to set screens off the ball in order for him to attack the basket. How do you do that? You need other guys who can screen for him, other guys who can play basketball. And coming from a team that hasn't won anything, I don't know. That seems a little arrogant to say that you know more basketball than the Golden State Warriors. How are they past their prime, too? Draymond doesn't need to be in his prime to be really good at basketball. What he does isn't predicated on athleticism or age. What he does, you need to put Draymond Green down in the post so that he can pass and create shots for his teammates. And Steph Curry drizzle 3 is 53-51. Steph is still really good despite the fact that he's a little older. So it doesn't really make sense saying that Steph and him are past their prime. That's just such a casual NBA take that you found on Twitter, if I'm being honest. I really don't see how you can criticize the Golden State Warriors for winning basketball games when you guys haven't won anything. I just think that it's just really ridiculous to say that we couldn't get Giannis either. Giannis is still freaking good, and we'd be willing to pay him. Not to mention the fact that guys like they are nice players. I'm referring to your so-called title window. That's shut with this group. Anyone in this group could fetch a trade. That's some of the most ridiculous stuff I've ever heard, bro. That's ridiculous. We're never shut. Everyone says that our window is shut or it's closed. Just because you guys beat us out of the play-in last year doesn't mean anything at all. Because we're playing better basketball than you right now. I mean, anybody who says that our window is closed is honestly ridiculous. Do you see how we're playing right now? Last I checked, 11-3 is a pretty damn good record. I'm just surprised because this person seems to know ball, and I don't really think that they do. I mean, could fetch a trade? Yeah, I think we could fetch a trade for Giannis or Jimmy Butler or any of these other great players. These are guys that want to contend, and they want to be on a contending team. We're a contending team. As long as Steph Curry is on this basketball team, we are a contending team. As long as Draymond is on this team, we are a contending team. I mean, this is how I know you don't watch basketball, bro. You don't understand what we do. I mean, anybody who criticizes the Warriors for what they think they do, that doesn't make any damn sense. I mean, everyone says we have no more window. You don't have a window either. My friend, just because you beat us in the play-in last year doesn't mean anything when we beat you up in a 7-game series 2 years ago. Congratulations. You beat us in a 1-game elimination. Great job. I'm just saying for the record, like Logan says, every top NBA player in basketball would want to play with Steph Curry. Who wouldn't? I mean, look around the league. Look at all the stars that are upset right now with their teams. Look around at Indiana, Milwaukee, Chicago, Philly. Look at Philly. Look at the Toronto Raptors. Look at your Kings. You're 8-7. I'm willing to bet DeMar DeRozan is getting going there. The San Antonio Spurs aren't even that great right now. The Minnesota Timberwolves aren't that great. The Mavericks aren't that great, despite the fact that they were in last year. Jimmy, I grant you talked to me in 2026 about my Kings, and I like our window opening up in 2026 more than your chances. I have Kings season tickets. Fair enough. Fair enough. You guys have season tickets. Okay. What do the Kings run? What is their main way of running offensive output? How do they run offense? Tell me what that is, because I can tell you what my team does, and I can tell you exactly what Jimmy Butler does. What does Jimmy Butler do for the Golden State Warriors? Well, he's a wing that can pass and score. He's a guy that you could put in the post possibly and pass out, maybe even post up and back down. There are guys like that that could fit the Warriors system because I know what we run. What do we run? We run post splits. We drop a big man in the post. We run off the ball action, 4 players, usually involving 2 guys. And once that happens, one of the guys can slip. One of the guys can cut to the basket maybe. Another guy can get screened off on a flare. Another guy could possibly get drifted. A guy can curl that screen and go down into the paint. You guys like your title contending window? You guys aren't playing that great right now. Dribble handoffs, yeah, but what's that out of? Princeton. Does anyone know what that is? I'm surprised. I mean, Jesus. I'm just keeping it real, okay? About how I know this. Everyone said you say that you like your window. You like how your window looks. Fine, that's fair. But don't talk to us about our window, dude. If I know a lot about basketball, okay? I know a lot about basketball. And I know one thing about this team, that our window is still open. Everyone said 2 years ago, 3 years ago that our window was shut. And everyone shut the hell up when we were in the NBA Finals in June. And when we won it, there wasn't a word from anybody in the world. My goodness. I mean, I'm keeping it real, dude. Like, don't tell me about how we run things. Carter, this is unpopular, but I still think Jordan Poole could have been that second story option until Draymond ruined it. Listen, I think Jordan Poole is a good player, but there's problems with Jordan Poole, in my opinion. he wasn't the type of basketball player that Steve Kerr would use in the system that we have. The biggest problem with him was that he was a little loosey-goosey with the basketball. He got into Terminator mode a lot of the time and decided to keep the ball for himself. Now, that can work in a lot of other offenses where you run the offense purely out of the guard. But the problem is we run this team specifically out of the post with passing. And Jordan Poole just didn't do that. I mean, come on. There's problems, but as a second option, he's good. I mean, yeah, he would be a good role player. But yeah, he did get run out of town in a lot of ways by Draymond. That's not unfair, okay? I'm going to give you that. But it's like, I just don't want to have won. That title year was a down year. Nobody in the West is better than the Celtics now. That's just not true at all, man. That is ridiculous. That is fundamentally ridiculous. No team in the West is better than the Celtics? No team. Like, sincerely, no team. The Oklahoma City Thunder look pretty damn good. When the Nuggets are at their peak, who knows? Who knows who can beat the Celtics when the Nuggets, when they're at their peak? When the Nuggets are at their peak, can they be beat? I'll grant you the Houston Rockets aren't that good. The Phoenix Suns aren't that good. The Los Angeles Lakers, they're a bit of a question mark, in my opinion, because JJ is rejuvenating that team right now, and they look good. But it's ridiculous to say that no team in the world could beat the Celtics. That title was a down year. The Celtics had practically the same roster. The Warriors had they had the exact same roster. Just Marcus Smart was different, and so was KCP. Or sorry, not KCP, Kristaps Porzingis. And he didn't even play that much in the finals that they had. That's ridiculous. That's just so ridiculous. They had the exact same roster. Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Al Horford, and Robert Williams. You telling me that team doesn't win a championship 9 out of 10 times versus us? That's not a down year. We had to beat a lot of good teams. Yes, the Nuggets were injured. That's fair. They didn't have Jamal Murray or Michael Porter Jr. That's totally fair. You can push that aside. The Grizzlies were still good. The Dallas Mavericks were really good, and the Celtics were really good. You can't say that's a down year at all. No, the Celtics are a top 3 team, though, and I would give them credit for it, but it's not a down year whatsoever. I mean, the Celtics were a fantastic team that deserved to be there. I mean, Brown developed into elite two-way. He was an elite two-way. I got to watch that dude play in college. I could have told you from the minute he went to the NBA that he was going to be great. He has always been an elite two-way. I mean, come on. That's ridiculous. He was an incredible defensive player back when he was playing us in those finals. And he was an even better offensive threat in a lot of ways. Brown was at Cal? Yeah, I got to see him play at Cal for a really long time. My dad had me watch him when I had season tickets there, actually. But it's ridiculous to say that the Boston Celtics were not a top 3 team at the time. Everybody picked them to beat us. That's a ridiculous notion that it's a down year. That's ridiculous. Anybody who knows basketball knows that team should have beat us on paper. But we beat them purely because we were a more experienced team. We were a team that knew how to win basketball games. So I'm sorry, but that notion that they were a down year team, that the West, that nobody could beat the Celtics, that's ridiculous. That was not a down year in any way, shape, or form, man. Not whatsoever. That is just, I'm sorry, that's not the case. That's just not the case. I mean, the Boston Celtics, I always had them as a team. When we were going to win that year, when we won that year in 2021, 2022, I was always of the belief that the Celtics were going to make it to the championship. I was always a believer in them. I started not believing them. Then I believed in them again when they won this year. They are a really good team. I could never doubt the Boston Celtics. They are a really good team. Anybody who doubts that is insane. And anyone who says, oh, a couple years ago they weren't the same, they were the exact same team. It's ridiculous to say that they aren't. I mean, Jesus. What did they have that was different? Drew Holiday. That's fair. But him and Marcus Smart are very similar players. Kristaps Porzingis, that's fair, but he didn't play that much on their run to the finals this year. No one can call that a down year, bro. No one can call that a down year. I mean, Jesus. Like, I have watched this team for a very long time. I know how we run basketball teams. I know how we do things. And I know how a lot of other teams do things. It's just a ridiculous notion that the Warriors don't still have a window. Steph Curry is a top 10 player of all time. If he's still playing good right now, unless he somehow has an insane fall off the next couple months, which I doubt, yeah. Putting that argument aside, I can't believe you think the Celtics aren't the best team in the NBA right now. The Knicks will find their groove, but I love the Thunder. Listen, I never said that the Boston Celtics aren't a great NBA team. I have not said that they aren't the best team in the NBA right now. No one, but it's a crazy notion to say that nobody can't match them. That's ridiculous. But yes, I will agree with one thing. The Thunder in the future, they have basically done what the Baltimore Orioles and the Houston Astros have done in baseball. They've done what a lot of teams in hockey, like the Golden Knights, have done. They built purely from the draft. They have built on trades and getting other teams' draft picks. They have found ways to win basketball games. You are correct about that. The Thunder, in long term, I think are going to win a championship within the next 4 or 5 years, at the very least. I think that they will win within that window of time. But I don't think that there is yes, the Celtics are a great team, but I can't say, oh, yeah, they're not a great team. Do the Cleveland Cavaliers not exist? Yes, the Cleveland Cavaliers got beat by the Celtics, but that doesn't mean they're not great either. Look around at the other teams. Orlando has been looking really good as of late, even though they don't have Pollock and Banchero. That's impressive. And yes, the Knicks haven't found their groove yet, but I think that they can be a great team. I'm sorry, but I'm not saying that the Celtics aren't the best team in basketball right now. I'm not saying, but I'm also not saying that they are. They are a great team. There's no doubt in my mind. They have the best crop of players I can see in the league right now. But it's ridiculous to say that we can't beat them or that another team can't beat them. We literally beat them like 2 weeks ago. A week ago? I'm not even sure it was a week ago. When did we beat them? Oh, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games ago. We beat them 7 games ago. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. We know how to play basketball. So I just don't want anybody outside of this sphere of basketball, outside the Warriors fan base, outside this team, to say what this team's window can or cannot be. Because you guys have all said this before, and we've always managed to exceed that expectation. Everyone says, oh, yeah, the Warriors don't have it anymore. They're not a good enough team anymore. They don't have it. And what have we always done? We've won in spite of the BS that's been thrown at us. I mean, yeah, we're not the team we used to be. The team isn't what? We're not winning 72 games again. But yeah, Steph has got one more chip in him. We need help. Yes, I agree. I think there are going to be a plethora of players on the open market at the trade deadline. There are going to be guys who want to trade with us, who want some people. There are guys on this team that people want. The Warriors currently have the 10th best odds to win the title because the bookmakers are the eyes. Oh, and odds have never been exceeded before, ever. Ever? Oh, I'm so surprised that the Celtics have the best chances. Why? They're the defending champion. That's fair. Warriors have 2,000? Have odds never been beaten before? Do you really want to talk to me about odds? Odds. That team right there in 2022 had all of the odds stacked against them. 2021, 2022. Look at that season. Tell me that the odds weren't stacked against us. I know what it's like. Odds don't mean crap. They're made by odds makers who have bookmakers have a reason to say these things. Bookmakers have a reason to say this because it's the safe bet. It's like the stock market. You think you're going to bet on the crazy asset? No. Lowry's not enough giving up other assets. I didn't want Lowry Markkanen in the first place. He wasn't going to fit the offensive scheme that we had. He wasn't good enough of a passer, and he didn't have the ability that could have this team move forward. Besides, we liked what we had already. I mean, Jesus, there were so many players that they wanted from us, like J.K. and Brandon Podziemski, but we didn't want to give that up for the simple fact that we thought that what we could do could work. Lauri Markkanen doesn't know what the Warriors system entails, though. But seriously, anybody who points to the odds to say who's going to win the NBA championship is ridiculous. Did anyone seriously think that we were going to win the championship in 2021, or that the Milwaukee Bucks were going to win in 2022 when everyone had the Lakers, everybody had the Suns, everybody had a bunch of other great teams? That's just a ridiculous thing to point to. Odds? Yes, odds can be correct. I'm not saying that they aren't, but it's ridiculous to point to them as the one thing that you say, oh yeah, that's the thing that should be determinant of how the teams win. I mean, Jesus, I could really, really point to a lot of those odds and tell you exactly why a lot of those odds are wrong. I mean, Jesus, what's a team that's up there that doesn't have good odds, or that should not be up there? What do you think BP's ceiling is? Brandon Podziemski? I think Brandon Podziemski can be a really good point guard. I really like Brandon Podziemski's ceiling. I think he can be a really good point guard. He's never going to be like Steph, okay? I know what you're trying to say. Oh, he's not as good as this guy. He's not as good as that guy. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. No. Brandon Podziemski, I'm not saying is Stephen Curry, okay? But I'm saying that he could be a guy that we can rely on. He's a guy who can give me 20 points a game, I say, if you give him the opportunity of that. But that's not his time yet. He's still learning. He's still a rookie. Look at Jonathan Kuminga's breakout last year and how well he played. I think Brandon Podziemski could be something like, I don't know, one of your favorite players, White Chocolate. I think he can be White Chocolate, if I'm being totally honest. I think he can be you're a Kings fan. You know how good Deron Williams was. He has the potential to be really, really, really good. And I think that it was worth keeping him for that reason. Yes, Lauri Markkanen is totally a player that should be discussed and looked at and said, oh, yeah, he could be a really good player for this team. But he just doesn't fit this team's build. We run offense through passing in the post. We drop the ball into the post with a big or somebody like Draymond and allow them to pass and create the shot for somebody else, passing off the post splits. But, yeah, got to address Melton. No, Melton is the first guy that I would be like, yo, I'm worried. After he tore his ACL, I was like, Jesus, because he was so good. He was playing great. And I was like, that's defense. That's good shooting. I think that he's really good. I think that he would be a guy. Okay, if you were genuinely curious, that's what I think. I think that BP could be a Deron Williams type player that could like help lead this team and be like a cornerstone. Not like the centerpiece, but I think he could be a guy where you're like, oh, yeah, he could be really helpful. Like Klay, for example. But I don't think he's going to be as good as Klay Thompson, but he could be the guy that's a complement to another good player. Do you think Giannis fits more than Lauri? I mean, if you look at Giannis's assist numbers, he has the most assists in Bucks franchise history. That tells me something about how good of a passer he is. Yes, he doesn't pass as much because he's Giannis. Why would you have him pass? But if you had him on this team with Steph, there's definitely opportunity. I mean, I like how this team has been. I mean, yeah, exactly. You make Giannis fit. I mean, he's a guy that you're like, dude, we got to get this guy. Listen, if the Bucks call me up at the trade deadline and say, hey, we're going to give you Giannis Antetokounmpo for this player, and maybe a pick, I'd say, yeah, sure. We'll talk about that. Totally. But it's got to be reasonable, though. Yes, I would totally do it if it was the right move. But we definitely need to add that second guy besides Steph, because Andrew Wiggins has been playing well, but he's not a second option. He's more like a third or fourth option. If you give the ball to someone like, I don't know, we just got to find that. Giannis and Steph both require double teams together. Sorry, Grant. Giannis and Steph both require double teams put them together. Them together. I'm sorry. Them together is owning the paint and the perimeter. Totally OP. Yes. because you got to understand what I'm also thinking about. I mean, I got to think about this for a second. So I'm just drawing this up in my head for a second and thinking about basketball. So you put Giannis in the post like this. You put him in the post like this. And then you have another player come off the ball for Steph or Buddy Hield, something like this. If you do something like this all the time with, like, you say this player right down here, you say this player right here is Giannis, and then you run the post split off the ball like this, an action, a flare screen, a drift screen, or instead maybe you reject it and go into the paint instead. Like, if you do something like that, then you can do anything in the world. There's opportunity there. There's always going to be an action open, because with him down in the paint, that's dangerous because he can score, but then you have the people double teaming and worrying about him instead of worrying about the action off ball for Steph or Buddy Hield or Brandon Podziemski. You can have guys dive to the rim. You can have guys come out and just like get the ball and get to shoot. You have other opportunities. When you have that happen, there's just so many dangerous opportunities for different players, and that can cause chaos, and that can create an opportunity for the Warriors offense to get even better than it is right now. It will probably take Kuminga, Moody, Podes, and 3 first rounders to get Giannis, maybe even more. That's where it gets a little scary for me. Sorry, I've got like a jacket hanging up right now, but that's where it gets scary, because I'm like, okay, I want one of those players to stay here, or maybe even 2. I want JK or Podes to stay here because I really like those 2 guys. I look at them and I'm like, okay, these guys are potential players that could stick around, and like we can create opportunity for them. And the thing is, Giannis, he's 29. He's going to go for a little while longer. So that gives him opportunity to grow old with the team that he's currently on. And if that continues to happen, Giannis can be a really good player for this team. And if that happens, I am going to be so impressed with how we can swing this. But this is where I get a little scared. And I'm like, okay, I don't want to give up 3, but that's probably going to have to be the thing that we have to give up, because I am worried about our future. Doubt the Bucks would take that, since you'd have to overpay, since the Warriors talent pool isn't the best. That's fair. We're not the best talent pool, but we have some really good young players. I mean, those 3 guys you mentioned, Moody, Podziemski, and Kuminga, are all really good, and I would be inclined. I would let this squad vibe the season and replace Melton's spot with a reliable 3-and-D wing. Then after the season, do whatever it takes to get Giannis. I'd be inclined to do that too. I mean, if this team keeps performing the way it is, I'd have a hard time saying, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's what a lot of people, how the saying goes. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Don't change anything. Try not to mess with it. And I'd agree. I mean, so maybe we let this thing vibe. Maybe we let this thing go. We see how it ends up being. But Giannis would definitely be a guy where I'd be like, okay, let's talk about him, because I like him, and I would love to get Giannis. I think most teams in the league would love to get that dude on their team, but it's just a really dangerous thing, because it's like, how much are you going to have to pay for him? And one of the things that this team has been really good at has been preparing for the future. Joe Lacob and Peter Gruber are really good at spending money and making sure that the capital on this team is safe. So you wonder, like, what should we do to make sure that's protected? And yes, Giannis might be worthy of taking a risk, but it's a little scary. But I would be inclined to just say, hey, let's just let this thing go. Let's let it vibe. And if we need a 3-and-D, we go find somebody at the trade deadline. And I'm wondering who that would be. I'm thinking a guy like, I don't know. Who's a guy like D-Mel? Because Gary can still play pretty well in that role, but D-Mel provided a lot of extra shooting, which is something that I really appreciated about him. But Orlando might have somebody. Atlanta, we could go talk about DeAndre Hunter with Atlanta. That could be someone that we talk about, DeAndre Hunter over in Atlanta. We talk to a couple other teams. Maybe we talk to the Pistons about somebody. maybe we go talk to Toronto, because Toronto really needs to just blow this thing up and start over. But yeah. Yeah, drafting for the Warriors hasn't been great recently. I drafted Kuminga over Wagner, Wiseman over LaMelo, missed on Halliburton too. Yeah, I think Halliburton would have been a really good pick. It's just we were never going to take him. That's the problem. Like, as good as Halliburton is, which is out of this world good, the problem with trying to get him is that we didn't have a starting role or opportunity for him to develop because Clay and Steph would be taking those minutes. And we thought that Clay was going to be healthy eventually, but he obviously ended up getting injured, which was bad for us. But yeah, Kuminga over Wagner. Wagner is really good. And I would have loved to see how he would run post splits. I think he would have been really good if we drop him down like we do with Draymond and see how that goes. And LaMelo Ball is good, but he's also a little oft injured. But he would probably be worth giving a shot. But yeah, there's a lot of great players on that team that we could definitely have talked about, but in that draft. But also another team that's selling, the Chicago Bulls. They're selling. Who could we get from them? Who do we talk about? Zach LaVine, maybe? Probably not. But like, maybe, possibly, if we can get him for the right thing. I mean, that's possible. Looking at the West, we're probably going to have to go to the East, if I'm being honest. Like, I don't want to trade within the conference. I mean, if we do, then we're going to have to worry about them biting us in the ass. And I really don't want that because, yeah. But I'm just thinking about the concept right here because I just drew this up. Like, there's a slip. There's a slip down to the post. There's a slip. There's a screen. There's a reject. There's curl. There's ooh, that's a good one. That is a good one. I like that dude a lot. I mean, that guy's really good. Hold on. Let's talk about Kobe White. I don't think we'll get him because he's really young and they like him, but hold on. Let me just put him up on the screen for everybody. I don't think they'll trade him, but he's certainly a guy I would go talk about. I mean, look at those stats. 19 points per game, good assist numbers. He's got great field goal percentage for a guard without shooting as much volume as he is. That's a great guy. That's a great guy that we would I'd love to have this guy on the team. I would love that. I mean, he's a guy that I would definitely be interesting. Joe Harris and Doug McDermott, Evan Fournier are shooting wings that you can get in the buyout market. Drummond would be if Looney is hurt by January, and Patty Mills is solid if Podes gets hurt. I mean, okay. No, those are all solid players. I'd be inclined to talk about those guys. I mean, I think that Fournier would be a guy I would talk about a little bit more, and McDermott. Harris is a little weird. I don't know. I don't like him for some reason. Drummond, yeah, he'd be good, but I'm just wondering how well he'd handle the post splits because he's not a great passer. But yeah. Oh, there you go. There's another guy that we could talk about. He'd be a great guy to get. Let me tell you about the Buddy experience. It's always a diminishing asset. After strong starts, he'll find a way he'll find his way to the doghouse and pout. Dude. He's playing on the Golden State Warriors. He has more incentive to play hard for the Golden State Warriors, and he's been playing really well. I mean, if what you're saying is true, fine, I'll take that. But we're going to see how he plays in the next 3 months. If he starts slumping, maybe you can be right. You can come here and tell me that he's playing badly, but I have a feeling that he's not going to do that. Just for some odd thought in my head that says, oh yeah, maybe he'll want to play harder for a team that's, I don't know, a little more serious. I'm a fan of Cam Johnson. I'd like the Kings to pick him up in a trade. That's another team that might sell. The Brooklyn Nets have a lot of guys on their team that they might sell away. They sold Mick, and that's interesting. There's a lot of players that the Brooklyn Nets might sell. And Cam Johnson is a really good player. I like him a lot. I always thought that he could be a really good wing in this league. Decent shooting, solid in the paint. Defensively, I haven't seen too much, but I think he could be good at that. He just has to get better. He's a great player. I like him a lot. But yeah. Split. Drop the ball in the post. Buddy doesn't have to be special. He just has to get 15. We're good. Listen, that's the thing about Buddy Hield. He doesn't have to be really good on this team. He just has to be good. He has to be okay. He just needs to do what he always does. Just put up 3-pointers, get good shots at the rim maybe, play good enough defense, and I can say, you know what, fine, buddy. I'll give you just do whatever you have to do because I trust Buddy Hield. He looks really good, and I love how he's playing. And we're going to have to see. As he said, maybe he knows, maybe this Daniel guy knows more than I do about Buddy Hield. But I still think he's a much better player than he's letting on about strong starts and ends. But I think he's been playing really well with us. And also he's functioning in a different offense that allows him more flexibility as a shooter. So it's just a thought, not to mention he's good at cutting off the ball as well. But yeah. But yeah, I love that Slow-Mo controls the game on the bench like Sean Livingston did. Yeah, I would really like – Slow-Mo was low-key a really good signing. I thought he was a kind of sign. We were making a couple moves that I thought were a little more marginal, but the Warriors seem to find ways to turn guys who look marginal or even like meh into really good free agents that we could sign. Like Buddy's playing great. And he was always – it's been doing going very well. I like how Kyle's been playing. I love how Buddy Hield's been playing. I loved how Melton was playing until the obvious happened. But, yeah, Dunleavy needs to pull something off. We'll see if he's got it. Listen, I've been doubtful of Dunleavy because, to be fair, I'm comparing him to Bob Myers, and I really like Bob Myers and how well he did, but he's controlling the Washington Commanders now, so that's interesting. But I just hope he does well because he's done well in free agency. Let's see how he does in trades and see if he can make a good move at this deadline. I always thought Slow-Mo was silly and lame, but I was sold on him now. Listen, it's weird because you look at Kyle Anderson and how he plays and you're like, you always look at Kyle Anderson and you're like, dude, the guy's a little slow. He doesn't make a lot of great decisions because he has made a couple miscues on the passes, but he is a good passer. You wonder how athletic he can be and if he can fight with guys in the paint for rebounds. But he is a good player, and I'm sold on him now too. He's just got to be a little better, and I think he can be great. Fozzie, good to see you. Welcome to the show. Myers had a lot of misses too. As long as your hits are big, then it's fine. Yeah, I agree. If he can do a good job on what he gets, then I can be like, you know what? Fine. I'll trust you. And currently the game's playing right now, and I'm just watching. Steph, come on, dancing with him. Yes, dunked on him. Come on. Dunleavy inherited a situation without a lot of flexibility. I'd wait to see your last draft was good. No, I'd agree. Our draft was last good. I mean, I do think he's really good. He's good at a couple things, but I am worried about how he's going to handle the notion of trades because trades are a completely different game than the draft or free agency because you have more time to look at the draft and the free agency. I'm wondering if he can pull off trades like Bob Myers did because Myers was able to strengthen us and make good decisions that got us in an ability to win. And I really hope that can be the case with Dunleavy, but he's done a pretty good job. Damn, I missed the Kings beef. Tuned in earlier, but had to do the bath time. Good for you. Sticking to the Kings. I mean, yeah, it's just been interesting. I don't disrespect the Kings. I'm trying not to disrespect the Kings. I have given them crap previously, but that was before they actually started getting serious and hired a good coach who is, my guy. I love Mike Brown to death. I wish he had stayed with the Warriors, if I'm being honest. I really would have liked to have Mike Brown coaching, but things have changed, obviously. But, it's a little silly. At the end of the day, we accept everybody here in the community. I'm just trying to have discourse. And if I have offended anybody or been a kind of an asshole, I'm sorry. That's just in my nature. I'm sorry. I can be a bit of those guys. But anyway, yeah. But anyway, I got to sign off because Glenn and Tommy D are about to do a show here. And I need to get off so that they can do that. But Logan, Grand, Fozzie, Daniel, everybody, Morkatna, thank you guys for just coming here to just talk with me about sports. I really appreciate it. But I do have to get out of here because it's just I want to make sure Glenn and Tommy D can do their show. So I gotta go. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for coming on the show. All right. And as always, see ya.
You've been watching the Northern California Sports and Entertainment Network, a Northern Lights Entertainment broadcasting station.